The next portion of the demonstration, we're going to take a look at configuration management through using a family of assemblies, or what we refer to as FOA. And then we'll also take a look at our wire harness capabilities within Solid Edge with synchronous technology. In order to do that, again, I'm going to change the display configuration to that of configuration management. And you're going to see that it turns on a specific view where we have some 5 buttons. I'm then going to in-place activate into this subassembly. And once we get in there, I'm going to locate that particular family of assemblies, if you will. Right-click on it and use the replace capability. Now the families of assemblies have already been created, and so once they're created and you replace an FOA, it gives you this assembly member dialog where you can identify which member you want to replace it with. So go ahead and click on the OK button, and you can see I now have a 4 button. If I want to change that again and maybe even go to a 3 button, I can do that. The neat thing about FOA and being able to use this replace functionality is the option for dynamic configuration. What they mean by dynamic configuration is that if you select that and you don't really see a member that you want to use, you can go in and actually add members to the selection list and build your own new family of assembly member through this configuration. So it allows you to configure your own family of assemblies. Obviously, when you select one of these, you can place an existing member configuration, or you can create a new member by selecting this and maybe taking parts out of it. Or you can create a new assembly document from an FOA. So it gives you a lot of capability here, a lot of powerful capability. Now what we want to take a quick look at is also our wire harness capabilities. So I'm going to go ahead and change our display configuration to the build the wire harness configuration. You can see here that we are looking at the bottom of our console. And so what I'm going to do basically is go into the Tools tab where you'll find the harness, wire harness. It takes us into the wire harness environment, showing us those particular commands. And for this particular demonstration, I'm going to use the wizard. Now when I select the wizard, you'll see it brings up a step 1 of 3 for this wire harness wizard. It allows us to pick the format in which we want to use. In this case, I'm just going to use our Solid Edge sample, where I've already got a components document built, and I've also got a connection. Basically, it defines the components in the assembly that I'm using and what connection points on each one of those components are, and what their name, what their unique ID identifier is. It gives us the names of those components, their description, status, if they're populated. If they're not in the assembly, it allows us to go and actually assign a component and an occurrence for that particular component. So it's very, very flexible and works with you on the fly. Then we can go to the third step, which actually defines the path name, and then the actual from component and terminal name, to component, and to terminal. So it tells us where the wire to go, what component from what component to what component, and which terminal to go and to go from and to. And then, of course, it tells us which wire it's actually going to use. So when we click on the Finish button, you can see that it automatically builds those wires, a lightweight representation of those wires, very quickly. You can see the component that was created in each one of the terminals that was defined. The next thing I want to show you is how we can the bundle command, how we can bundle wires together by just simply identifying the wires we want to bundle, accepting them, and in this case I'm just going to use this wire tie that we've already defined and then accept it, and you'll see how it grabs those wires and just kind of bundles them together inside this tie. Another option that we have is to create a cable. Here we've got 3 wires going across this entire part, but maybe the middle section needs a sheath around it or a cable. So if I identify the cable command, select, in this case it is important to select the same end of the wire, and then accept that, And now I'm going to define where I want my cable to go from. So I'll pick the end point, and you see it's building an actual path. And then I'm going to go to these other wire ties, and then right mouse button click to accept. Now over here in the command bar, you want to come down and select the 22, let's get the 22.4 gauge solid copper white, and then we'll preview, and you'll see it'll take those particular wires and run them through that cable path. Another option that we have is to actually create physical conductors of these particular wires. So it actually gives you a physical, will actually create a physical representation of the wires and gives you a better example of what they look like. Now at any time, if you need to make a change, for example, edit a definition of a wire, you notice these wires kind of extend up a little high. It gives you this kind of tangent end that you can pull down. You notice the wire is moving as I pull that down. And when I accept it, it allows me to it actually moves that wire down. I'm going to do the same on this next one, and instead of getting out of the command, I'm just going to select the next wire, and it gives you the next one, so you don't actually right click like I did on the first one. But you can pull that wire down a little bit, and you'll notice it updates automatically as you do that. So making an adjustment on the wires becomes very, very easy. With that, it kind of shows you how quickly we can create these wires and build a cable, and also bundle wires together using the wire harness wizard and a lot of the capabilities that come with it. So with that, that is the end of this particular wire harness demonstration.